Hello, everyone. My name is Cynthia McCachran. I am the resource creator and author of the blog Just Orphan Around, and this is the first episode in a new video series called Teachers Helping Teachers. And today we're going to talk about using poetry in the music class. There's me. I'm a K-3 primary ORF music specialist on Prince Edward Island, Canada. I have been teaching for over 20 years, and I love my job today as much as I did when I started. When we talk about music and poetry today, our discussions are going to be embedded in the elements of music. Elemental music based in the elements. We're going to start with rhythm and beat and move on through. You'll notice I'm not sitting and reading out each bullet. You can do that part. This is more of a discussion, kind of like a podcast, but with some visual supports. I love this poem. I put in my daughter's name, Lucy, in the poem. I think it originally used the word Johnny, but I'll say it for you just so you have an idea. It goes like this: 1, 2, 3. Lucy caught a flea. Flea died, Lucy cried. 1, 2, 3. I use it to focus on the difference between beat and rhythm. When I introduce this to my students, I use a very simplified definition. Beat stays the same. It remains steady. We know that isn't true all the time, but in kindergarten, it's going to be that way for a little bit. Rhythm changes. It's putting the words in your hands. It's a combination of long and short sounds. And then we explore. We keep the steady beat in our laps, in our heads, in our shoulders, in our bums. We take the words and we put the words in our hands. We put the words in our laps. We feel that there is a definite difference between rhythm and beat. And then we put it together musically. You'll notice in every slide there is a form that I've included that you use to put everything you have learned together, because what we want to do is to keep our learning and our teaching musical. So with my kindergartens and grade ones, they would march and say the poem, keeping the steady beat. They would freeze and put the words in their hands, clapping the rhythm, and then off they go. They would march again. Now with 2s and 3s, I would divide the class. Half would play the steady beat on a drum, perhaps. The other half would play the rhythm on the rhythm sticks, put the two together. They would switch roles, and then they would get up and they would move and put the beat in their feet, the rhythm in their hands. And then they would switch and put the rhythm in their feet and the beat in their hands, which is really funny to watch. It's very challenging for them. But it doesn't matter what age they are, from K-3, this needs to be reviewed at the beginning of every year. Melody. A lot of us can't sing in our classes right now amidst the health crisis. On PEI, we can sing if we use our masks. But I was involved in a webinar with Amy from O Fortuna Orf, and she put it so eloquently. We can still teach them melody. We can still teach them songs by rote. It's just going to look and sound a little different. There's no reason why you can't record yourself teaching the song and the kids sing it within their hearts or sing it inside their heads. With early learners, their ears are just as important as their voices. So we can still do that piece even though we can't sing out loud together. With poetry, it offers the support you need in order to start composing and creating for your class. I certainly love the pentatonic scale because it's easy to orchestrate whenever we move on to harmony. But give it a go and have some fun. This is a little melody that I made up. It goes like this: 1, 2, 3. Lucy caught a flea. Flea died. Lucy cried. 1, 2, 3. Expressive qualities. It's a broad term, and it's broad for a reason because there's so many expressive qualities. Today, in this slide, I'm talking about forte, piano, crescendo, and decrescendo. We explore those in many different ways, as you can see in the process. But the culmination would be for them to use it to create something new. So the little worksheet that you see there, we would do that together, and then in groups of 2, 3, or 4, they would create something to share with the class. Rondo form is wonderful for sharing. That way you can keep the music going and maintain the musical integrity of your delivery. Harmony. I love the Bordeaux for pentatonic melodies. If you created your melody using the pentatonic scale, the Bordeaux or the drone will work well for you. A Bordeaux is an open fifth using the first note and the fifth note of the scale. You can play both at the same time, or you can alternate them. A drone is just the tonic, and usually it has a rhythmic component to it to make it more interesting. But you could just use a drone as a tremolo as well, right? One thing about the drone and the Bordeaux, a lot of people think that they're rhythmic elements, but they have a rhythmic component, but they're supporting the melody. It's a harmony that you're creating. I gave you a little arrangement for 1, 2, 3 that you're welcome to use in your classroom, and all the visuals will be available on my blog once the video is posted. Form. How I love form. Form is so useful, and not just for exploring poetry, but since we are talking about poetry, we know that it can support exploring texture and audiation. It helps provide a structure when sharing creative work. It maintains the musical integrity of a process. So many possibilities. My students really like using Canon, especially the grade 2s and 3s, and it adds that thicker texture so that they can experience the thin and thick texture that can happen when you use a Canon. I use a lot of ABA, Sing, Think, Sing, with my primary level kids, and the rondo form is wonderful for sharing group work. I did put a few tips there. When you're creating your form, involve the students. Ask them, what do you want to do for the A section, rhythm or beat? What do you want to do for the B section, rhythm or beat? The teacher can maintain that musical form by keeping a steady beat or rhythmic pattern on an accompanying instrument. It could be a drum, could be a Bordeaux that you're playing, but it just ties everything together. Exploring non-pitch percussion. I love doing that. With this poem, I assigned a non-pitch percussion instrument for each bar. At the primary level, that equals one phrase. So each family will play one bar or one musical phrase, and then the next non-pitch percussion family joins in and plays that rhythm. I rotate them through so that they can experience all of the non-pitch percussion instrument families. And it's a great review for the older children, but it's wonderful for an introduction for our youngest learners. So that's it for me. If you're interested in more from Just Orphan Around, I just published a new book through F Flat Books. It's called Just Orphan Around, Sing, Play, Move, Create, Spiral Music Instruction, and ORF Approach. So you can follow this link and it will take you to that new book, and it has lots of lesson plans and ideas similar to what we talked about today. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can contact me at justorphanaround.edublogs.org or justorphanaround@gmail.com. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Well, I hope you enjoyed chatting and sharing and learning with me today. And I will have video number 2 in our series, Teachers Helping Teachers, out probably by the weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.